Now I'd like for you to welcome Debbi Fijan back to the stage and lead and join with you in song.
Please feel free to sing along with me.
Our keynote speaker today, if I can find the mic, our keynote speaker today is an economist and the esteemed chairman of the Political Science Department at Duke University. He earned his bachelor's degree at Davidson and a master's and PhD in economics at Washington University. In 2008, he was the nominee for the Libertarian Party for the office of governor.
Yeah.
He is now writing a book on his campaign experiences, here to address you on the real issues of economics in our government. Please welcome Dr. Michael Munger.
Hey, how y'all doing? Well, it sure is a pleasure to be here today. I do want to thank the organizers and the city for giving us such a nice venue for this safe and peaceful discussion of some very difficult issues. Now, I should note that I'm an ex-Republican, maybe a recovering Republican. It takes a long time to get over it. And I was Republican all my life until 2003. I decided that the Republican Party that I saw in the Congress running up the deficit, not helping small business, not keeping touch with its roots, had violated our trust. But what I see now is a Democratic Party in Washington that is violating our Constitution. Now there's some angry people here. I'm angry myself, but we're not just angry. What we're feeling is the sort of thing that I'd like to illustrate with a story you may have heard, but I want to remind you. Let's suppose you've got a government official up front, and this government official is bragging about how, with his new program, you're all going to have milk and honey. Now some guy at the back says, well, no, I'm not. And the guy says, what? How dare you object? How dare you say anything? And the guy says, well, all I said was, I don't like milk and honey. And the government official says, oh, come my program, you will like milk and honey.
You lie.
We don't. We want to have a debate. If we had a forum where the other side actually got to express its opinions, we would be happy to have an influence and information-based debate. We're not getting a chance. We're angry because we have the feeling our views are not being heard in Washington. We're not being listened to. It's the arrogance. It's the arrogance of the governments in Washington and in Raleigh that are making this a heated debate. The reason that you're sitting out there in that hot sun is not that you don't have something else to do. You could be mowing the lawn. You could be spending time with your family. You're here because as Americans, you feel that America has lost touch with something, and you'd like to get that back. Well, I have two themes here today. First, I want to talk about tea parties and the origins of some of these kinds of protests and their important place in American history. And second, I want to say a little bit about something I hope we don't lose track of. And we're against a lot of things because we're worried about what's going on in our state and in our country. But we're not just against things, we're for things. And I want to say a little bit about what we're for, lest we lose track of that. Well, Tea Party was not the first protest that we saw in the United States. A lot of people think of the Boston Tea Party, which happened in 1773, 3 years before the Revolution started, 3 years before the signing of the Declaration of Independence. They think of that as being one of the first protests, but I want to remind you, and I'm not sure that unless you went to school in North Carolina you've ever heard of this. And I'm not sure you heard of it anyway because it's not really taught in schools. The American Revolution started in 1764 right here in North Carolina. It actually started in Anson County. What was then Anson County and has become now Union County was called the Regulator Movement. What was it the regulators were upset about? The regulators were upset about having a distant government with corrupt officials that were taking money and not spending it wisely. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Now, the regulator movement in North Carolina tried to start a revolution. They didn't say, we refuse to pay taxes. What they said is, our taxes are being collected unfairly and spent unwisely, and we demand more of a say in that. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Well, the fact is, we've talked a bit about the Constitution today. There are 4 principles of the Constitution. There are 4 structural principles of the Constitution where our founders tried to make sure that we were not going to have to face another situation where we all thought our taxes were being collected unfairly and spent unwisely. Those principles are the separation of power, where the Congress and the President have to be separate, where the judiciary has to be separate. But all of those things today are being run by the same collective and corporate interests, whether they be medical, industrial, or otherwise. We face a unitary government of economic power, not the people. Second, they implemented a system of checks and balances, where no one group had all of the power for legislation. But the Congress has taken all of that power. We don't even know what the bill says. How can we possibly successfully resist? So strike 2. Third, federalism. The third principle was federalism, where there's a division of power between the federal government and the state government. Almost all of the power of the United States today is concentrated in the federal government. We don't get we pay them highway taxes, and they'll give us back our own darn money if we agree to certain conditions. How in the world did we ever agree to that?